Get out, Moocher. Kelly is coming home. Mom tries to kick me out with those words. Are you sure about this? A few days later, the moving company I hired arrives. Is this all the stuff from the house? Yes, thank you so much. Within hours, my childhood home is empty. Why is there nothing left in the house? I'm calling the cops, you thief. Go ahead, but it'll be Mom who ends up embarrassed. My name is Alice, a 32-year-old office worker. Currently, I live with Mom in our family home. I'm not staying here for financial reasons. My dad passed away from illness 2 years ago, and I couldn't leave Mom alone. But I regret moving back in. Mom takes me for granted and shows no gratitude. She even complains to me almost every day. How's Kelly doing? Oh, I miss Kelly. Kelly is my younger sister by 3 years. She's pretty enough to objectively be called beautiful and always receives compliments. Mom dotes on her and pays more attention to her than me. Despite being sisters, I've always been neglected, while Kelly gets special treatment. I vaguely remember being pampered before Kelly was born, but that all changed afterward. Kelly always looks so cute, doesn't she? I bet this outfit would look great on her too. Saying that, Mom would buy clothes for Kelly, but I hardly ever got new clothes myself. I always wore what Kelly grew tired of. You hear about younger siblings inheriting clothes from their older ones, but in my case, it was the other way around. Luckily, Kelly was taller than most kids her age, so our sizes weren't too different. Otherwise, I doubt her clothes would have fit me. But I wanted new clothes too. Yet Mom would say, I don't mind spending on Kelly, but I don't want to waste a cent on you. It was then that I realized that, to Mom, anything related to me was a waste. It was devastating, but thankfully, Dad was always kind to me. Alice, you're such a bright kid. Always acing those tests. I'm so proud of you. Dad would praise me whenever I did well in my studies. I studied even harder to earn more of his praises. It paid off, allowing me to attend prestigious schools for both high school and college. So when Dad passed away, I was heartbroken. He was the only one who ever cared for me. Losing Dad left a void in my heart. Mom, too, was deeply affected by Dad's passing. She seemed malnourished, her eyes swollen from days of crying. To be honest, I never liked Mom much, but she did feed me and make my lunches throughout my school years. So in that sense, I was grateful. Kelly was already married and couldn't come back home, so I decided to move back home to look after Mom. I told my company about the situation, and my boss kindly suggested that I work remotely. If I had worked at the office, I wouldn't have been able to take care of Mom during the day, so the remote work proposal was a godsend. I moved out of my apartment and went back home. Mom was still down in the dumps, so I took over all the household chores while working. It was tough balancing work, cooking, and cleaning, but I felt obligated to give back to the woman who raised me. After all, Dad had asked me to look after Mom. I won't be around much longer. Please take care of Penelope when I'm gone. Dad made this request when he was critically ill. He and Mom had been so close, so Mom was important to him too. Then again, Dad was always a good-natured guy. Maybe he asked because of that. Still, if Dad asked something of me, I couldn't refuse, and for that reason, among others, I couldn't neglect Mom. After moving back home, I fully committed to supporting her. Mom gradually regained her energy, thanks to my dedicated support. Alice, thank you. I'm really grateful you're here. For the first time in my life, Mom thanked me. I couldn't believe Mom was speaking to me like that. It might have been the first time ever. I was so happy and felt it was a good decision to come back home. For the first time, it felt like Mom was actually seeing me. No worries, Mom. I'll always be here to support you." I must have been starved for Mom's love. Even after Mom got better, I stayed and continued to help out with various things. By then, I had gotten used to juggling work and chores. It didn't feel like a burden at all if it meant helping Mom. After a while, Mom started to perk up and even began making some requests. "Our furniture and appliances are getting a bit old, don't you think? Maybe it's time for some new ones." "You're absolutely right. Let's go get some new stuff." "Thank you, dear." I was more than willing to make life better for Mom, so I started upgrading things around the house. Thanks to my hard work in school and landing a job at a top-notch company, I was doing well for myself. I had always given my all at work and even earned some professional certifications, which led to a pretty hefty paycheck. So swapping out old appliances and furniture wasn't a big deal at all. Mom was delighted, especially when she saw the new vacuum cleaner, the state-of-the-art fridge, and the plush, luxurious sofa. "It's like I'm in a whole new home. Living this comfortably every day feels like a dream." Seeing Mom so happy made me incredibly joyful as well. For a while, life was peaceful and serene. Then, out of nowhere, Kelly came back. "Oh, Kelly, long time no see. How have you been?" "I'm back, Mom. Alice is here too?" While Kelly greeted Mom with a smile, she was curt with me. Kelly had always looked down on me. That's because Mom always favored Kelly and treated me as an afterthought. As a result, Kelly started to belittle me. But I was an adult and didn't let Kelly's cold attitude get to me. "It's been a while, Kelly." Without saying anything, Kelly headed to the living room with Mom. "What brings you back so suddenly?" "Just wanted to see your face, Mom." "Oh, that makes me so happy. I've been wanting to see you too. Alice, please prepare some cookies and coffee." Mom naturally ordered me around and joined Kelly at the dining table, chatting away. I reluctantly prepared cookies and coffee for everyone and took my seat. But Kelly and Mom were deep in conversation, and I couldn't get a word in edgewise. I was silently listening to their talk when Kelly responded to one of Mom's questions. "How are things with your husband?" "Well, we've been missing each other a lot lately." "Oh, really?" "Yeah, it's not going great." "What a terrible man to make Kelly unhappy." Mom jumps to conclusions, blaming the guy, without even knowing what's actually going on. It might be Kelly's fault for all she knows. Then Kelly made a shocking statement. "I might be getting a divorce." "What? A divorce?" I couldn't help but blurt out my surprise. Kelly gave me a cold look. "What's the matter, Alice? Are you happy that I'm unhappy?" "No, of course not. I was just shocked when you mentioned divorce all of a sudden." "Don't sugarcoat it. You're always like this, Alice, jealous of my success and happy about my misery." "That's not true." Kelly was accusing me without basis. And Mom, who always takes Kelly's word as gospel, started blaming me too. "How could you be so insensitive when Kelly is struggling? You're failing as a sister." Suddenly, everything I had done to support Mom over the years was forgotten. Whenever Kelly's involved, Mom always behaves like this. And now, I was seriously worried. If Kelly gets divorced, she will surely move back home. And if that happens, there will be no place for me in this house. But I have a promise with Dad to support Mom. So what am I supposed to do? I was filled with anxiety about what's going to happen. Ever since Kelly showed her face, Mom has been talking about her daily. Mom started bad-mouthing me, asking why she had to spend time with me instead of Kelly. "You're always at home. It's annoying. Go out and kill some time." I switched to remote work to be around for Mom, and now I'm being treated like a nuisance. My emotional health started to deteriorate, and things were getting tough. And Mom wasn't doing housework herself. She'd gotten used to me doing all the chores in her stead, and now she wasn't lifting a finger. Despite all the support I've provided, why is Mom treating me like this? I was deeply saddened, and a familiar feeling from the past returned. If things continue like this, I'll probably experience what I did as a child. Lately, Mom's been on the phone with Kelly a lot, mostly discussing living together. It's becoming more and more likely that Kelly will move back home as her divorce seems imminent. Yes, you're always welcome. I can't wait for us to live together. Hearing Mom's voice, I started to feel like I was going to be kicked out of the house. But if she kicks me out, she'll be the one who suffers. Does she even realize that? Thinking so, I decided to start looking for apartments for myself. About a week later, just as I expected, Mom approached me with news. Kelly's coming back home, so you, the moocher, need to move out. What? Kelly is getting a divorce and has to leave her house, so she'll be moving back in next week. We won't have room for you here anymore, so you should leave. Mom was really kicking me out. I was shocked at how ungrateful she was. Are you sure about this? When I asked, Mom shrugged and chuckled. Of course I'm sure. I'd rather live with Kelly than have you mooching around the house forever. If that's how she felt, then fine. I said, all right, I'll make arrangements to move out in a few days. I immediately started making preparations. I contacted a moving company, toured a potential apartment, and got everything ready to move. A few days later, the movers arrived. Mom had gone out somewhere with Kelly because she didn't want to be home when the movers came. And that worked for me. I directed the movers to the belongings that needed to be transferred. All these items, correct? Yes, thank you. Everything in the house was stuff I had purchased. Within a few hours, the house was empty. I completed my move to the new apartment. Immediately after, Mom called me. Why is there nothing left in the house? That's because I moved it all to my new place. Then Kelly took over the phone. You thief! I'm calling the police. Go ahead. It will only embarrass Mom. What do you mean? Everything in that house, the furniture, the appliances, I bought it all. Mom wanted new stuff, so I replaced it. And by the way, I've been covering all the living expenses for that house. What? Weren't you paying with Dad's inheritance? What are you talking about? There was hardly any inheritance from Dad to cover living expenses. But Mom said... Mom isn't great with money, and she never understood that I was working from home. She probably thought that the money was coming from Dad's inheritance. So what are we supposed to do? We have no furniture or appliances. Not my problem. Buy new ones. I can't afford that. Then get a job. Do you think you could live off your parents without working? It seemed Kelly thought she could live the good life just by moving back home after her divorce. Unbelievable. Alice, come back and help out with the expenses. No way. I'm done being pushed around by you and Mom. But I won't be able to pay the divorce settlement. What? The divorce settlement? Actually, you see, it turns out Kelly had an affair. Her husband found out, and they were now in chaotic divorce negotiations. However, after seeing me and Mom live comfortably in our family home, she assumed there was money in the house and agreed to pay a settlement. I'll end up drowning in debt if this goes on. I don't care. You brought this on yourself. I have no obligation to help you. Why don't you ask our dear Mom? If we don't have money, Mom is just useless. What? Kelly, how could you say such a thing? Kelly let her emotions get the best of her and blurted that out. I could even hear Mom's angry voice in the background. At this point, I started to feel bad for Mom. To Kelly, Mom was just a convenient person to use. If Mom had properly told me to depend on Alice for my living expenses, I could have negotiated more with my husband about the settlement. I didn't know you had an affair, so it's not my fault. Kelly and Mom started to argue, so I hung up the phone and blocked their numbers. After that, I received texts from both Mom and Kelly asking for help, but I ignored them all. In the end, Kelly had no choice but to return home and live with Mom. They both took up part-time jobs for household expenses and to make settlement payments. But since they both have spending habits, their debt is piling up. Apparently, they've reached the point where they might have to sell the house. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, I'm working in my new home, undisturbed and comfortable. For now, I've decided to focus on saving money and finding out what I really want to do, rather than worrying about relationships.